Each day, approximately 9 liters of fluid enters the small intestine. About 2 liters of this fluid comes from foods or beverages that we have ingested or consumed. The remaining 7 liters comes from various secretions of the salivary glands, the stomach, the liver, the pancreas, and the small intestine. Most of this water is reabsorbed by the small intestine, and what isn't absorbed by the small intestine is absorbed by the large intestine. Approximately 150 milliliters of water remains in the stools in order to keep them soft and aid in their elimination from the body. Carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids that are consumed with each meal are metabolized to provide energy to cells, tissues, and organs, in addition to providing the basic building blocks so that cells and tissues can create their own carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. The amount of chemical energy within the foods and beverages that we consume is measured in a unit called calories. A calorie is a unit of heat energy. Specifically, 1 calorie is the amount of heat energy that it takes to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of pure water by 1 degree Celsius. Typically, the average person requires 1,500 to 2,000 calories per day in order to sustain daily metabolic needs. Of course, this number varies depending on lifestyle, dietary restrictions, overall health, and other factors. If one consumes more calories than they need in a given day, the metabolized energy is typically used to construct adipose tissue. On average, 3,500 calories beyond what is needed for daily energy needs will result in the gain of 1 pound of body weight. Next, we will examine the different types of nutrients and their functions within the body. The first are the macronutrients, which are the nutrients that we require in relatively large quantities, at least compared to the micronutrients in our daily diet. The macronutrients include carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and water. Water is a macronutrient but does not create calories when it is metabolized by our body. The carbohydrates and starches are digested down to subunits called monosaccharides, which includes simple sugars such as glucose, fructose, and galactose. The proteins are digested down to their subunits called amino acids, while the lipids are digested to fatty acids and monoglycerides. From these basic building blocks, the body can create its own carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids, and these also yield calories when they are metabolized by our body. The micronutrients are those nutrients that we require only in very small quantities. The micronutrients do not yield calories when metabolized, but instead have other important roles. The micronutrients include the vitamins and the minerals. Here we will briefly examine some of the roles of the vitamins. Generally, vitamins are organic compounds that function as coenzymes, which are parts of enzymes that help the enzyme function normally or more efficiently. They are also important in mineral metabolism, cell growth, and tissue growth. Most vitamins are obtained from the diet, but some can be formed from vitamin precursors that are created within the body. Some of the functions of the vitamins are as follows. Vitamin A helps in the development of the eyes and the bones and also assists in their normal function. Vitamin B12 is an important vitamin in the development and production of new red blood cells. Vitamin B7 is critical for cell growth. Vitamin B9, which is also called folate or folic acid, is necessary for DNA and protein synthesis, especially during fetal development when many new cells are being formed. Vitamin C is critical for collagen production in the connective tissues. Vitamin D aids in the absorption of dietary calcium, because calcium is needed by the skeleton to form bone tissue. And vitamin K, which aids in the production of blood clotting factors by the liver. Deficiencies in this vitamin can cause certain types of hemophilias, where blood does not clot properly when injured or bleeding. Minerals are inorganic compounds that work with cells and tissues in order to regulate homeostasis. All minerals must be obtained through the diet as the body cannot synthesize them. Minerals such as potassium are critical for normal nerve and muscle function. Sodium helps to maintain blood pressure and blood volume. Calcium gives structure and toughness to bone tissue, and it's also important for normal function of cardiac muscle. Iron is a critical component of hemoglobin as the iron binds and carries oxygen. Iodine is an important mineral as it is necessary in the production of thyroid hormones. As mentioned previously, the major macronutrients such as carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids, all yield calories when they are metabolized, but the major micronutrients do not. For the macronutrients, a single gram of carbohydrate yields 4 calories. To determine the calories produced by the carbohydrates in a food, simply multiply the number of grams of carbohydrates in that food by 4, and that will yield the calories from carbohydrates for that particular food. A gram of protein also yields 4 calories when metabolized. As with the carbohydrates, multiply the number of grams of protein in a food by 4 in order to yield the number of calories from protein for that particular food. A gram of lipids or fats yields 9 calories when metabolized. This makes sense as the function of lipids is to store energy, so they yield more chemical energy calories when broken down. To determine the number of calories from fats in a particular food, simply multiply the number of grams of fat or lipid by 9.